surprised to find that in Saudi Arabia, there's a lot of devotees. But it's also, undercover. You can't do anything out, in the public. In such a situation, the personality of God incarnates to vanquish the unwanted asuras and to re-establish the true principles of religion. This was the mission of Lord Sri Krishna, and he fulfilled it. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshram Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Ukam Kotavachalam Pangam Namnai Devi Yat Kripa Tadaham Bande Shri Guru Didana Vanchakalpa Trivyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Bhavani Vaishnavyo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So yes, cheating is one of the flaws of the conditioned souls. Not only the leaders, but even sometimes in family members. It's like sometimes the wife will cheat on the husband, or the husband cheats on the wife, causing divorce and so much havoc. Or bosses, sometimes the bosses, they work the workers so hard. When I was in Russia, I noticed there was a lot of people outside of one business, they were selling tires. And devotees told me, yeah, they work for this tire company, but they don't have money to pay the workers, so they give them tires. Here, you could sell the tires. So there's a bunch of people selling tires. These are the workers that work for the company. There's a lot of competition selling tires on the road there. So much cheating. Doctors also. I was speaking to one student about the flaws of the conditioned soul, one of them being cheating. And he said, yeah, he had heard about one psychiatrist that was treating a patient that had about 6 or 8 split personalities. And he was charging each of the split personalities. Brilliant doctor, more money. So one of the split personalities had enough intelligence to take him to court. And the judge couldn't believe it. He just couldn't believe it. He took away the psychiatrist's license. He had to go to jail for 2 years, I think. Yeah. Such cheating, yeah. It's terrible. Lawyers, just like we see these signs all over. Even if you didn't get hurt, give us a call. Right? It's just cheating, yeah. Kali Yuga is just, when Prabhupada says that the scientists, one purport Prabhupada says, the scientists have lost their brain work due to accepting the theory of uncertainty. Perhaps, maybe. And then they change their theories. That's very common, isn't it? They change it. You got to change the textbooks. Sorry about that, guys. We were a little mistake there. So they don't know. And then they spend so much money also on this, on NASA, space projects. So millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of the taxpayers' money. And so many times Prabhupada said they didn't go to the moon. And recently I was reading how how when you go to the dentist, they put these covers to reflect the radiation, to reflect the radiation. It's lead. I think it's lead, right? Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's lead. Yeah, you can look it up. But in these spaceships that they apparently went up there was less covering than what the patients and the dentist have on their chest to reflect the radiation. And there's so much radiation going to the Van Allen belt. I think it's the Van Allen belt. So much radiation, and they just have a little bit of lead to protect. It's just ridiculous. So a lot of cheating going on, unfortunately. In religion also. In one religion, there was something called indulgences. Indulgences, where if one of the members of a church committed some sin, they would go and they would pay money to the priest, and he would be absolved of the sin. It's a big thing, and this is why some religions came out of that, because they just saw it's just cheating in the Catholic religion. And because of that, there was the Lutheran Church came out of that, and the Protestant Church, because they saw the cheating. Yeah. Indulgence. Imagine you commit a sin, you just go pay some money. That's okay. You're free of the sin. It's okay. Then they go and they commit more sin. It's terrible. Yeah. Religious cheating. Yeah. Or so many also gurus come here, and they say you just pay us some money and we'll give you a mantra, and you'll be good. You'll advance in spiritual life. I was cheated in that way. A lot of when it comes to spirituality, a lot of us are a little naive, innocent. We don't know. But has anybody ever heard of selling mantras in India? Is it? Yeah. Well, maybe he gets away with it, but nobody. It was unheard of. But we don't. In the West, we don't know. So cheating. So much cheating. Back in 1977, it was only $120. Now it's $1,500. Yeah, yeah, for a 2-syllable mantra. Yeah. Inflation. So, and the gurus come here and they exploit their lady disciples. I think the same one, the same guru that I had, he had some problem with a lady disciple. And the Beatles also were following him, and they found out, they rejected it. So so much cheating, and unfortunately, in our ISKCON society, there's unfortunately been cheating also, marrying their disciples. Yeah, that pastime of Arjuna, where he had to go incognito, and he was teaching dancing. Amazing, one of those amazing pastimes. But he was because he didn't agree to this one heavenly lady. She cursed him to be a eunuch for a year. What was her name? Urvashi. So he was teaching dancing, and then it was found out that actually that's Arjuna, and the father of this girl he was teaching said, "You can take my daughter as your wife." I said, "No, I can't do that. She's my student. It's not possible." So then she became the wife of his son, Abhimanyu, right? Yeah. So you can't accept a disciple as a wife. It's like, but unfortunately, that's happened. And Prahlad Swami, he's in charge of the sannyas ministry. He told me one time that half the sannyasis have fallen down. Of course, now it's much better because we have a sannyas ministry. Before, we didn't have a sannyas ministry. So he did a very good job of raising the integrity of the sannyas ashram. So it's now it's very rare for a sannyasi to to fall down. And Prabhupada said, when you make a promise to Krishna, and you break that, you make a promise to Krishna and the spiritual master, and you break that promise, Prabhupada said then he's an animal. Because human beings, they make a promise and they keep a promise. Animals, they can't even make a promise, right? But if one makes a promise to Krishna and to the Guru and breaks it, that's animal consciousness. It's very, very bad. So, yeah, these vows that we take, very important therefore we have to get a taste. You got to get a taste. Got to pray for a taste, so that we don't, in Kali Yuga, it's so difficult to follow strict Krishna consciousness. But it's possible that we have so many nice examples. We had this nice festival recently. Hundreds of devotees, thousands of devotees practicing. So it's possible. So we have this tendency to cheat, but there's four, right? We have imperfect senses, therefore we make mistakes. Right? And therefore we also sometimes we're an illusion. And then there's a cheating propensity. These are the four. Right? Now, three of them we can't avoid. They're just going to happen. We have imperfect senses. Anybody here have perfect senses? No. We have imperfect senses. We all have imperfect senses. We make mistakes. Yeah, our eyes, we have to have glasses and so many things. Yeah. Now, I'm getting older and I'm finding how imperfect this body is and my mind. Yeah. So we make mistakes also. We all make mistakes. You can't change that. And to be an illusion. We're an illusion. So just like we have these table counters here. these table, I guess they're marble in the kitchen. And you can't tell. Sometimes it looks like there's some dirt there, but it's not. Because of the way the stones are. And it looks like it's clean, but it's not. It's filthy because you can't see. Which is a kind of weird thing to have in a kitchen, So yeah, it appears to be one way, but it's another way. Just like there's magicians now. They have these magicians now, just like, it's just like gone off. It's unbelievable what they're able to do. But it's all just tricks. It's illusions. So we have the tendency to be an illusion. But there is one thing that we can stop, and that is the cheating propensity. We don't have to do that. We could avoid the cheating propensity, which is also, that's not easy. Yeah, to be honest, just like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Manapasarak Saumyadvam, Monam Atma Vinigra, Bhava Sangsir Ityate Tapo Manas Mushite. That the austerities of the mind, there's austerities of the body, austerities of speech, and there's the austerities of the mind. It gets, it's interesting. The easiest is the austerities of the body, because we could. I just might as well say what the austerities of the body are. Just offering respects. Deva Dvija Guru Pragya, Pujanam Sochamevacha. To offer respects, to bow down to God, to bow down to the Brahmanas, to the spiritual leaders. Just bow down. That's not difficult. Even sometimes when we're at programs, all the devotees will bow down, but there'll be a new person who's never been there, but he sees everybody else bow down, so he bows down too. He doesn't know it, but he's bowing down. Not that difficult, right? So to bow down to seniors, and even it's mentioned in this verse, seniors like father and mother, and that's why there's so much respect. in India to the parents. That culture is there. In America, practically no respect. But that's there in the Bhagavad Gita, and that's why there's so much respect for the for the parents. David Vijaya Guru Pujanam Socham, to be clean. Some austerity of the mind, to be clean. Just like in Europe, I don't know if you know, but they used to take a bath once a year.
No.
Yeah. They thought it was unhealthy to bathe. And I guess in France they took a shower less than that. And that's how perfume. That's why there's perfume. It's got smelling so bad. They had perfume. Yeah. And devotees told me also when I was in India that they have these where the students stay. Yeah. And I asked one devotee, he's a student. I said, "Why don't you stay with the students in the what do they call it, hostel?" Yeah. He said they only take a bath once a week. So he said they stink, So he said that I had to get another place. There's two, and it's also very messy. He said they're very messy, and the students are all. Even here in America, also the students you go to, sometimes there's these they call it fraternities, and they're dirty. Students generally aren't very clean. So to be clean, it's an austerity. Anud was it? So Deva Dvija Guru Pujanam Socham Evaja Brahmacharyam. To be now it gets a little more difficult. To be a brahmachari, to be celibate, that's difficult. That's the greatest austerity of the body is to be celibate. And therefore, when Bhishma took a vow of celibacy, an unembodied voice said, "Your name is Bhishma," which means horrible vow. The Deva Dvija Guru Prajam Pujanam Socham Arjamam. Arjam means simplicity. Yeah. To live simply. Just like our motto is simple living, high thinking. Yeah. This is we're floor dwellers. Or sometimes I remember now I'm a little older, so I'm not just on the floor like I used to. But when I first joined, our mattress was a sheet and no pillow.
Oh.
That was just a sheet, no mat even. We were poor. That's how it was back in the early days. It was real simple living. And we had 30 seconds to take a shower. That means cold. You didn't have time to warm up the water. Cold. So it was good. Simple living, high thinking. When you're young, austerity is it's like Prabhupada told the teachers, teach the boys the joy of austerity. When you're young, you don't mind austerity. When you get older, it gets a little more difficult. But when you're young, austerity isn't that difficult. So simple living, high thinking. David Vijaya Guru Pujanam Socham Brahmacharyam Ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-violence. Non-violence. Therefore, vegetarian. Yeah, we don't agree, and Krishna doesn't agree with the unnecessary slaughter of so many animals. Because when animals are killed, they're stopping their progress. They have to go back again in that particular body. We're interfering with their, because the soul is going through different bodies. If we interfere, they have to go back. So it's a disturbance. And then anudbegam karang vakyam. This is the austerity of speech. To speak that which is not disturbing to others. Just like, Srila Prabhupada, he came to teach us how to become free of impersonalism and voidism. Voidism. So one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, you're always speaking about impersonalism, but we're not impersonalists. We believe God's a person. And Prabhupada says, you're saying that because you're an impersonalist. Now, there's impersonalism towards the Supreme, towards Krishna. Some people think that the absolute truth is impersonal. And that's there, the Brahma Jyoti. But the highest is Krishna's a person. But even amongst devotees, there can be impersonalism. If we treat others in a way that is not very nice, yeah. And this is impersonal. We should treat others the way we want to be treated. That's personalism. If we treat others in an unkindly way, not a very friendly way, we don't see them as persons. So we should be very conscious of that. It's a type of impersonal. And even we can be impersonalist towards non-devotees. Like if someone comes and we're not very kind or not very friendly, we don't see them as persons. We just see disturbance or something. And of course, sometimes people come and they cause a little disturbance, Christians or something. But we shouldn't be unfriendly to them. What I do with the Christians, I tell them, I respect Jesus very much, and I respect Christians, but I have my belief, and I'm strong in my beliefs. So I appreciate your fervor, your enthusiasm, but please, you go on your way in your nice Christian religion, and please allow me to continue. And then they, okay. So we had to be very respectful. Otherwise, it's a type of impersonalism. So, and this is also a kind of like a cheating, because a devotee is supposed to have certain qualities: titikshava, karunika, tolerance, compassion, titikshava, karuna, sura, friendly to all living entities. So we should live up to the qualities of a Vaishnava. Otherwise, it's a type of cheating. Now, Prabhupada, when he was growing up, his father, he invited many sadhus to his home, and he could see that these sadhus are not really living up to the standard. So much so that when his friend invited him to go visit Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Narendra or something, he didn't want to go, because he had seen so many of these, his fathers, they'd be smoking ganja, and he wasn't impressed. And his father also wasn't impressed. Eventually, he stopped inviting them because he was disappointed. So when Prabhupada's friend brought him to see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was still reluctant. But because his friend was insisting so much, he said, no, this is a special sadhu. You have to meet this person. All right. Just to please you, I'll go. So he went. And when two Shaktivesh avatars come together, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. So while Prabhupada's paying obeisances to him, that's the first one, right? While he's paying obeisances, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, you're an intelligent young man. You are young, intelligent. You should preach this message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the English-speaking world. And what did Prabhupada say? Who's going to hear our message? We are a dependent country. They're under the British. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, the spreading of Krishna consciousness is not dependent on some political adjustment. So they spoke for 2 hours, Prabhupada met for 2 hours, and they were discussing. And Prabhupada was very pleased. He said, the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in good hands. And he accepted him on that meeting. At that meeting, he said, this is my spiritual master. Yeah. Beautiful. Huh? So that began the Krishna consciousness movement, the Hare Krishna consciousness movement, ISKCON. Subtly. That was the kind of like the beginning. Yeah. So Prabhupada also saw these cheaters when he came. He would hear about them. And Prabhupada said, I have not come here to cheat you, but I've come to give Krishna. You know, just like this person, he was charging $120 for 2 syllables. This is now $1,500 for 2 syllables. That's $750 each. So Prabhupada said, I could have made so much money. Hare Krishna mantra has 32 syllables. He said, I could have made so much money. But I have not come to cheat. I've come to give. There was one instance where Prabhupada was in one city in India, and there was one person there that was one yogi. He was there was a picture taken of him. There was a lot of money in front of him on the table, and he was like this. You're not interested in money. Making a show. You take him off the camera, you see a whole other feeling. Yeah. So Prabhupada said, this is all nonsense. You could take a picture of me also with the money there, like this. Because Prabhupada would use every penny in the service of Krishna. This is Falgu Vairagya, false renunciation. Yeah. So real renunciation means to engage things that can be utilized in the service of Krishna. In the service of Krishna. Yeah. Just like we have this nice apartment. Yeah. And so many apartments here in Mountain View, they're doing so much sinful activity. But here, it's only spiritual activity. So it's a little preaching center, right? Because only spiritual things are done here. No nonsense. Only hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna. So, anudvegang karang vakyam satyam priyam hitam swadya vyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapushate. And to always repeating the words of Bhagavad Gita, of Srimad Bhagavatam, austerity of speech. To speak that which is not agitating to others, anudvegang satyam, to speak that which is truthful, priyam, to speak that which is beneficial, hitangchet, to speak that which is that's beneficial. Yeah, beneficial. And then repeating the Vedic literatures. So that's the austerities of the speech. And then there's the austerities of the mind. Manaprasadak somyadam, to speak that which is honest, or to have an honest mind. Excuse me. To be honest. That's an austerity of the mind. To be honest is very difficult in Kali Yuga, because the cheating propensity is there. So to be honest is very difficult. Manaprasana somyadvam, or to be satisfied. To be satisfied in Krishna consciousness, that's an austerity of the mind. Not easy to be satisfied. Now this is Maya's kingdom, and so much opportunity for illusion, for Maya. So to be satisfied, chanting Hare Krishna, taking Krishna Prasadam, associating with devotees, an austerity of the mind. Manapasana Samya, monam, to be grave, is an austerity of the mind. Yeah. In other words, not being frivolous. Yeah. Not that we can't joke. Prabhupada was very funny. But at the same time, he was very grave. Monam atma, and to be able to control the mind. To control the mind. Like there's that joke that I let my mind wander and it never came back. So we had to control the mind. And the most difficult of all the 15 austerities, the austerity of the body, the austerity of the speech, austerity of the mind, of all the 15, there's 5 in each of them. The most difficult is to have a pure mind. That's the most difficult. So we have to pray to Krishna to have a pure mind. So the supreme dharma, it's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Savayam Pungsam Paro Dharma, Yato Bhakti Yato, Haiti Kapati Yatma Supa. The supreme occupational duty for all mankind is that by which one can engage in loving devotional service of the Supreme Lord. No motivation and uninterrupted. This is a pure mind. That's what we're aspiring for. No material motivation and uninterrupted, constant Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Like when I was in Austin, I met a nice couple in Austin. He's the president. And him and his wife, they decided to not have children so they could just focus their life on preaching. Amazing, huh? Very exemplary household couple. So time is up. Maybe if there's one question or comment. On the internet? Okay, thank you very much. See the Prabhu.